Hi there, my name is Lina. Thank you for allowing me to present today on the topic of short-term rentals. I'm a mother of two children. I graduated from the University of Guelph in government policy, and I did a master's of social work at the University of Toronto. I worked professionally in public service doing crisis work with families in Ontario prior to moving to British Columbia, where we relocated due to my husband's work. That's just a picture of my two girls on the upper right there, and then our extended family on the bottom. After we moved to British Columbia, Airbnb actually made that possible for us as we were a relatively large group. So I just wanted to talk about who is really benefiting from this legislation. It would appear to be the hotel industry. This was actually born out of the new McGill study, which called for tougher rules and essentially blamed short-term rentals as the main driver for the affordability crisis. We've had a significant conflict of interest. It was funded by the hotel industry, which is a short-term rental competitor. In any other context, research funded by those who have a financial gain is considered research without integrity. Often, whoever funds the reports typically are able to sway it in their direction. And this is something that's seen throughout research time and time again. So it begs the question of whether or not the study can actually be trusted for what it does say. So why has this study been funded now? So short-term rentals have been growing in popularity, so much so that they're identified as a considerable threat to large hotel operators. This became more pronounced after the pandemic. Short-term rentals rebounded 22% from 2019, but with hotels, it was only 9%. Often so that when you have someone experience an Airbnb, they're more likely to prefer it to a hotel. That just happens for a number of reasons, but that was more pronounced after COVID because of social distancing. For example, Airbnbs are more secluded, they're private. People were starting to work from home, so there was a lot more flexibility in where you could work. Calls and cleaning standards, noise control, et cetera, et cetera. So just a few articles to show you here that they really do have an invested interest in funding reports that actually shine Airbnbs in a very negative light. Hotel industry lobbyists want crackdowns on Airbnb. They've even gone ahead and attempted to compete directly with them by launching their own home rental platforms. Here you can see that the Hyatt is definitely intending to increase its footprint in Canada by 2026. These new regulations will definitely help them do that. As you can see, once the BC short-term rental restrictions were announced, observers were saying that the new rules will actually support investments in new hotels. So they'll definitely get there in 2026 with the way things are going now. Again, that's to invest in new hotels, not affordable housing. So one does have to ask the question of why they funded this specific study. Here's the BC Hotel Association applauding the rental restrictions. It's seen as a big victory for them. The Hyatt and Hilton, you can see once the bill passes, the stocks go up for them. So really the question is the intention to increase affordable housing, and was that the intention of the report to support local communities, or did the hotel industry really just use this emotional hawk of affordable housing for their own financial gains and benefits? Of course, they want you to feel that it's short-term rental hosts that are in fact greedy and out for profit. There's also this narrative that a lot of short-term rental owners don't live in the province or even in Canada. I can tell you that that's not the case. A lot of our current homeowners actually live in the Campbell River and Strathcona Regional District. That's the impact. What are the consequences and losses, and who are short-term rental hosts? So who is impacted? So approximately 140 tourist-related companies in the Campbell River area. I focused on Campbell River just for the specific presentation because a lot of people stay in Strathcona, but they access what Campbell River has to offer, and vice versa, really. People move back and forth quite a bit. So we personally have 7 subcontracted cleaners. A lot of them are single mothers with children who've expressed to us that they get paid a lot more than they would working at hotels. I think the difference is $16 versus $35 to $50 an hour, which is a lot more, lot better of a wage, especially with the current economic state. They also talk about the flexibility that it affords them, as most Airbnb turnovers happen during the school hours, which pretty much eliminates the need for daycare. A lot of our tour operators are also expressing that they're already starting to see a slowdown. People aren't wanting to book tours anymore because they're unsure of whether or not they'll be able to find accommodations. The restaurant and food industry, of course, if there's no tourism here, then there's less people accessing restaurants. We have a lot of contractors. We've had Flynn Canada, for example, stay up a number of times with us. They work on condos in the area. We have pregnant North Island residents, so people in the northern reaches who need access to a hospital for safety reasons, and also a place to bring in their baby home once they give birth. Definitely is much more of a better situation in an Airbnb than bringing your newborn baby home to a hotel. Homeowners, obviously, a lot of people are supplementing their mortgages right now. People are barely holding on financially, and they're just looking for a little bit more income to get them through the hard economic times. We get a lot of nurses and doctors who are coming here for conferences, or who, are just here to help out for a little bit. We've got our local shops, health and wellness, retired seniors looking to beef up their pension a bit. Cost of living is going up, and it's just not cutting it for them anymore. And then, of course, property managers who rely on the income. So the other large consequence to the short-term ban, essentially, is there are GST implications, and I'm not sure that this is being widely shared, but there is a change of use when you go from short-term to long-term, just because that was considered a commercial activity. So the government does charge people 5% for that, what we're hearing. And this is coming at rather difficult economic times. People, are already worried that they're not going to be able to pay their mortgages. Having a very large bill from the Canada Revenue Agency once they switch to long-term is going to be very, very impactful for many families. So won't people just book hotels? When the supply goes down, the demand definitely goes up, and hotels are already starting to take advantage of that. So it is going to impact tourism. People are already reconsidering coming out to British Columbia. It's just not affordable anymore, especially for large groups. It's not affordable to book many hotels. With Airbnbs, you can get larger spaces and you can cost share. You have access to a kitchen. So if you're not able to eat out every day, having a kitchen definitely gives you the option to cut costs in some places. And then, of course, there's many other perks to Airbnbs, one of them being a unique experience. And that's kind of what draws people in sometimes to areas is, it's a nice area, but they're also getting to stay at a very unique place. And that's what an Airbnb really does for people. There are not even enough hotels in the area. Campbell River has already converted a large amount of their hotels into low income housing. So these are just some testimonials from some locals in the area. I encourage you to flip through most of them. I'm just going to paraphrase for the sake of time. This is Curtis from Coastal Wilderness Fishing Tour Operator. He's expressing that he's already seeing in business just because his clients are not able to find stays even a year out. That this is going to have a very negative impact on tourism. This is going to essentially result in a snowball effect that brings down the Campbell River area and Strathcona Regional District tourism. He's saying that he feels that SRD has an opportunity to salvage this on their end, given that they're an electoral district. This is Barbara and her family. They rent out their basement suite due to a change in circumstances because they have children. Barbara is no longer working, and it's providing them a little bit more income because they're not able to afford childcare. So being able to rent out their home and share their space with people is definitely helping them pay their mortgage, as they had to use their savings for their first down payment for their home. This is Kirsten. She's a local resident and STR provider. She recently lost her father and inherited his beachfront home. She does intend to move into it. However, it looks like with the loss of their father, there were some unexpected expenses. The short-term rental revenue that she's making is helping to pay some of those expenses down. This is Aletta from Sessions. She's also expressed that during peak season, particularly in July and August, tourism is really, really important to their community. And she does see that a lot of their patrons are using Airbnbs as opposed to hotel stays. And they feel like this would subsequently affect the livelihood of their businesses if there was just less accommodations available in the area. They know that they're going to see less patrons coming and dining, especially during their high season where they make a lot of their income. This is Jess, who is actually a cleaner for our company. She started in March of 2023. Her husband actually owns his own business, but given the current economic state, a lot of the clients are not paying them, and it looks like from cleaning with our business, she's able to afford, her mortgage and some of these extra expenses that they wouldn't otherwise be able to afford with just her husband working alone. She basically states that if the BC government puts a stop to the Airbnb industry, it's going to have a very negative impact on herself and her family. This is Steve from Tall Tale Charter. He's a fishing charter and is also expressing that they're feeling a big impact. Some guests are already having difficulty finding accommodations for this spring and summer. Many of their guests prefer a house or cottage type rental, and he feels that tourism is really, really important in our area and that this would not be a good thing. This is a homeowner family of 4 living paycheck to paycheck, sharing that the Airbnb platform has allowed them to rent out their home so that they can continue to pay their mortgage. It looks like they're at risk of not being able to do so without the supplementary income, and that if they were not able to rent, it really might mean that they might lose the only home that they own. This is Dawn, who's also a resident and short-term rental provider. She's 60 years old and is working full-time, and the short-term rental in her home is actually helping her also to supplement her income as she's on a solo income. This is a traveler from Ontario who expressed that they require staying in Airbnbs because they have personal medical needs that require them to have a kitchen. And they also have a dog that's very emotionally reactive. So they require a private space. Hotels just wouldn't work for them. And they would definitely reconsider traveling to British Columbia otherwise. This is Kathy, a Campbell River resident, also a short-term provider, who says that she has a short-term rental cottage, and if she loses the ability to operate, that she's going to have to sell that property. She says that her guests come every year and do a lot of local shopping and recreational activities, including fishing charters, whale watching, and skiing. And she feels that having short-term rentals definitely helps to support the local economy. Thank you very much.